The Sci-Forror Film Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Sci-Forror Film Podcast. I wondered how long I could keep holding that face and make you think it had locked up.
It really does me, because I sit there sometimes and go, has he frozen?
I am Andy Walker, as I always am. Well, not always am, as I am most of the time. Occasionally I am my alter ego, but let's not go into that because the mask doesn't fit me very well and the tights certainly don't anymore. I have with me...
Oh, you're not going to say the name this time?
No, I have my son with me, Scott, as always, as he's normally here. Hello, Scott.
Hello there.
Hello. And we have with us, once again, his better half, Amy. Hello, Amy.
Hello, everyone.
Better half.
Yeah.
Don't sigh and flounce like that.
Bloody favouritism.
Don't flounce. It doesn't suit you.
It does.
How are we both?
How are we both?
We both, yes, you both.
I'm doing quite well, actually, now I've realised that. See, we found a lamp to prove to everyone that I haven't got permanent black eyes.
It doesn't work.
No, I know it doesn't. It's not as bad as it was last week.
I think,
but yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe at some point, I know, anybody who looks at us knows that we're related, but I just wonder sometimes. I look at you sometimes and I do think maybe it was a panda and not me.
That's right. Amy has sat here and just said to me that maybe I am sort of secretly part raccoon.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Like with the hair as well, which doesn't help. And then now the black eyes.
Panda eyes.
You're revolving.
Evolving or devolving.
De-evolving.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you talk about badgers for too long.
You're revolting. Revolving. Nothing wrong with a good badger.
Nothing good with a rump badgering.
I've been having fun, actually. I must admit, I've got to tell you, I've been having fun with the online AI image generators. Going to them, into the fantasy ones or into the landscape ones are best. Go to the landscape ones and type into it, giant mutant badger attacking a human army. And you get some fantastic things coming up.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've seen some ones that are meant to be just normal, so I can imagine the stuff that comes up in there.
Some of them are fantastic. They're brilliant. Some of them are very weird because you go into some of the different types of things you get, like some of the photo things, and put giant mutant badger, and what you get is something that looks like an ordinary sized man with mostly a badger's body and a pair of Wellington boots on, or something like that. It's not quite what I imagined, but
well,
it's something, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what everyone else sees when they look at badgers.
Maybe. I don't know. What's the one I had a weird one came up to? Oh, I was trying to get a picture, and I'll explain why in a little while. But I was trying to get a picture of some elephants wearing suits.
As you do, yeah.
So I typed into the thing that all I wanted was 3 elephants wearing human suits. What I got was 2 men that looked like they were conjoined Siamese twins with one elephant head between them, which wasn't quite right.
Hey.
I eventually managed to get a picture that looks like 2 elephants wearing suits. So that's it's for a very, very, very bad pun.
I can imagine.
Years and years ago, I saw a really brilliant cartoon. I thought it was fantastically funny.
Yeah.
And it was a picture of 3 elephants standing in what looked like a bank, all wearing business suits.
Yeah.
And the word sartorial means well dressed, effectively, or well turned out, right?
Yeah.
And underneath this cartoon, it said a picture of sartorial elephants, which I thought was a great pun. But I've never been able to find the picture, so I wanted to try and recreate it. So there you know what I was doing. This is what I do with my time when I'm sitting on my phone at work with not a lot to do. I trawl through things like that online and put in stupid comments into the.
See, you sit there and say to me that I watch some weird stuff, and it makes a bit more sense now.
Anyway, shall we get on with the film reviews?
Yeah.
That would be a good idea. Well, it could be a good idea.
I suppose it's what we're here for.
What, just hang on, what, in general, or just for this? So, like, we're here purposely?
No, this is our purpose in life. This is the reason we are here. You know, people say, why are we here? I think everyone's here for a different reason. We're not all here for the same reason. Humanity isn't here en masse for one particular reason. We all have our individual roles to play, and ours is
sitting here watching weird films.
Ours is doing inane reviews to people's films.
Could be worse.
And why not?
It could be worse.
Like the one we did last week, where, like, you know, the big idea was writing a new chase sequence for a Tom and Jerry cartoon. Everybody has their place and their role to play.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this week, at the suggestion of Amy, because I did still feel that our last few shows were getting a little bit long because we were sort of talking about 3 short films and a feature film. We were going on for about an hour or more. So I thought maybe we should try and do it. Amy suggested that we do just some short films this week, so that's what we're doing.
So if this is really short, then it's Amy's fault.
Lots of short films, but no, it's make a nice change. A nice
change.
I'm sure we can pad it out with inane rubbish.
Oh, that's normally what we do. So
inane is my word of the night, I think.
Word of the night, maybe word of the year.
Yeah, it's like one of my favourite words is inconsequentialities.
Good word.
It is a good word. One day I'll find out exactly what it means. Anyway, we're going to start off with a they're all science fiction films, aren't they? Really?
Yes, that was the whole point of this. Is the fact that we've done so many horror these last 3 weeks. All right, I've forgotten who I am, where I am, what's going on, what date it is. Bloody alter ego again.
I know, I've got to walk it. Anyway, first film is from 2022, and it's called Olivia. It's by High Concept Films, and it was apparently it was something to do with Music Bed's Challenger 2022, whatever that is. Don't quite know, don't quite understand, never heard it before. Anyway, it was written, directed, and edited by Will LaForestier. The cast is Lauren Ashmorgan, Morris Turner, Lorne Oliver, and Lily Curry. And the synopsis says, a father does the unthinkable for his family. I'm not sure that I'd go as far as to say it was the unthinkable, but there you go.
No,
what did you think?
Go on, Amy.
I was actually really surprised with this one. The colours that are like on all the trees are visually so stunning. That's what drew my eye to start with. It was like really, really pretty to look at. But the whole concept of it is quite a delicate subject to do anything about. It is a very hard subject, but I think they've done that really well. And it like putting it out there that, you know, people aren't, and how far they would go to try reconcile what they went through. The acting was really good. They were all very good playing their parts, and I really liked it. I liked it because it was unique for sci-fi. It wasn't the same old aliens or different planets or spaceships. It was something completely unique.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed this one.
I agree. I mean, it's an interesting idea, and it's really well thought out, which they would have to do to make it work properly, and it's well made.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it, and as you say, it's not a subject that's normally touched on and that sort of thing. And it's something we've said before. You know, we prefer we prefer films that have got a little bit more of the characterization to do with the people rather than just hard tech or all that kind of stuff. Although there's nothing wrong with those, you know. Just, I'd like to know more about what the cube, with the tree in actually is, and what's it for, where's it from. You know, you'd like to know a bit more about that. The weird thing I found with this film is that I mean, I liked it. It's a good film, and as you say, the subject matter I think is really good. It made me think. It made me, you know, it's very interesting that way, and it brings up a lot of feelings.
Yeah,
the subject matter and the storyline, everything brings up a lot of feelings. But as a film, it didn't leave me feeling very much.
Yeah,
I got to the end of it and just thought, okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a sort of heart touching subject that they're talking about, especially for. It's heart wrenching for anyone that's sort of been through it and knows what that feels like.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a lot of questions and a lot of things in this film that I think just it could have done with a little bit of an explanation or a little bit of something else added to it, and not just the sort of story. Because if other than the cube thing of it, there's not really much sort of sci-fi to it, and it's it's a pain because it's a good film, but I think it's missing sort of slight little bits for it. But I agree with Amy said though. So like the visually effects, like the visuals on it, like to have the colours of the bushes and the trees and certain bits pop out a lot more. I think it was amazingly done, and the acting as well. To have such a sort of hard subject and have to show the emotion of what this could be like to go through, and to sort of, I don't know, sort of show the two different sides of someone that's not got over it, but is dealing with their way, and then someone that's dealing with another way. But it's just, again, I think for me, there's just a little bit that's missing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of strange because, as I say, in one way it did kind of bring up a lot of feelings, but in another way it left me feeling a bit kind of like,
Yeah,
and that is strange. I don't know. It's interesting, but it is definitely interesting to watch, and it's an interesting choice of subject to make a film on because it is something that's a very delicate, sort of like very personal thing. But it's really well done, really good. Hey, our second film, continuing now our thing I've found recently of managing to find short films with famous people in. This is a film again from now. Confused again. According to one thing, it's from 2015. According to another thing, it's from 2022. But it's on Dust, so it's difficult to tell because some of the nights that we know the date on Dust isn't necessarily the same date that it came out. So I think it was 2015. It's called Clones, and it was written and directed by Raphael Bolliger. And the cast is Rutger Hauer, who I suppose is best known for being in Blade Runner, The Hitcher. He was in the original film of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's been in lots and lots and lots of films and TV and all sorts of things like that. The rest of the cast is Diobia Opere, Stephanie Nemeth Parker, and Manfred Leachy. Anyway, the synopsis is: as a highly intelligent man on board a space station prepares himself for a risky brain operation, he has to overcome his fear of losing his identity before surgery can even begin. Well, I think it's an interesting, really well-made film again. The effects and the set design are brilliant. They're really good. It's a good film. But again, it was a bit kind of, at the end of it, I was like, oh, well, that's all right. It didn't grab me, but it's well made and it's good. And I kind of expect Rutger Hauer to be good because I like Rutger Hauer. He's another actor that I've always really liked.
Yeah.
And he is good in this, but so is everybody else. Everybody is good in it, really. I don't know. It's good and it was interesting to watch, but it's not something that I'd think, oh, I've got to tell everyone about how good this film is.
Yeah.
For me, it's weird. For me, I would have actually, apart from, I'm not taking anything away from Rutger Hauer, he's an amazing actor, but to say that it stars just him, I think it sort of was a bit of a weird, because it's, I can't pronounce his name.
What the guy you got, Odebar Apare?
Yeah, he's. I would say, like, especially for a lot of it, he's also done a lot of sci-fi and horror stuff as well. Like, he's best known for being in like Doom and Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So he's done certain bits like that. But I think just for it to be done as just he's in it, like as Rutger Hauer's in it, is.
I think that the thing about it is they hang it on his name because he's kind of like the more famous actor, and they try and get
people to watch it. People in. Like, if you see that name, it will just draw you in.
But like, I agree with you. Like, there was, again, it's something that while the film was going on, it made me think there was a lot of stuff being said, and that I sat there and thought, that's a really good point. But at the end of it, I sat there like, is that it? Like, there's some of the stuff that they were talking about, and there was written into it, and there was spoken about the whole like not knowing whether or not, if you wake up or every time you go to sleep and wake up, whether or not the only reason you know who you are and who you are is because of your environment, not because of the fact that, like, you know for definite. And it's just one of the things that sort of, I think it's a very good point. If it was to the point, like they said, that you die every time you go to sleep and you wake up, like reincarnated, basically, how would you know?
Yeah, if somebody took your consciousness and put it into a different body every night you were asleep, how would you know that they'd done it?
And it's how would you know? And like you said, like, you've been asleep for 1,000 years. It's like, oh yeah, your environment would change.
Yeah.
Or you'll know because of the ship, like, because like they said, I think the ship was there, the people there, they wouldn't be there. But your memory wise, you wouldn't know. It just felt like you've gone to sleep.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very good point. It's the fact that that's the sort of scientific thing, because it takes a lot of people, when you wake up sometimes, it does take people that certain bit of, where am I?
Yeah, you sort of readjust.
Yeah, you have to readjust almost time, and it makes almost sense of that feeling. It's a natural feeling, but that sort of feeling of, where am I? Who am I, and all that. But I think the sort of science behind it is very good. The whole premise behind it, like doing the whole cloning thing and transferring your subconscious into a clone of yourself, is not a new thing. It's been done so many times before. But I think, again, it's just an odd way of doing it. But again, it's just doing it while the film's going on. I felt I was like, this is hooked me. But at the end of it, it was sort of, no, is that it? It's over with. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, again, it's another film I think was missing something.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure what.
It was enjoyable. Like, some of the acting and scenes were really powerful. When, like, stuff was going on with the whole transfer, and you could see, like, the emotion in his eyes, and you felt like what he was going through, running through his head of while this was going on. Some of it was really, really good. It just felt like there was a lot of nothing. Like, you see a lot of things going on, but then it led to nothing.
Yeah.
If they had, like, done just a little bit more, it could have been really good, because, like, the designs and the visual effects were outstanding.
Absolutely.
It looked really clean and it looked really well done. And, like, some of it was really enjoyable, like the hearing, like, the theories behind it and the scientific likeness behind it.
Yeah.
But then it just felt like at the end you're like, oh, okay. There was, like, they just kind of chopped it off at the end, and there could have been a little bit more to it. It's worth a watch, like, to see what your opinion is on it.
So I think what I like about it is the whole thing with cloning has been done, like, there's this massive debate scientifically anyway, and especially when it comes down to human cloning and stuff like that. But the line that's basically at the end of it is basically that whole drawing, that whole sort of line in the sand of how people feel about it is whether or not doing that is classed as actually killing someone, or whether or not it's helping them live for sort of forever and a day.
Actually, something I found interesting was the fact that there were two films out of the ones that we watched here that both reminded me in different ways of a film we watched recently. The one where the robot is keeping the guy alive on the spaceship.
Yeah.
And when the guy decides to kill himself, the robot takes the consciousness.
Puts it into an AI, doesn't he?
Puts it into a new body, and he's done this numerous times.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of reminded me. There's another one as well that reminded me a bit of that, and I just found that quite interesting. That this kind of similarity of ideas in different ways.
Yeah, it's the thing is, it's what I like about it. One of the reasons why I like about science fiction as well is the fact that you can sit there and say, "Oh, this IP is not unique. It's not like it's been done millions of times before," but it's every single one is slightly different. There's always a slightly different factor about it. There's always like the whole coding thing. Obviously, you've got there's loads of films out there you can like name them off the top of your head, but every single one has got a different aspect to it, or a different way they've done it, or a different outcome that's happened.
It is quite amusing the fact that Rutger Hauer is playing the guy doing the cloning when in Blade Runner he played a clone.
Yeah, this is. But this is the thing is that I like. I think it's quite funny. This is the fact that this is again another science fiction and a way of writing it. Is the fact that the head doctor, which is played by Rutger Hauer, is the whole I'm the one that's doing it all.
Yeah.
But really, all he's doing is standing there talking. This person behind him pushing all the buttons. Who's the one doing all the work? She's the one doing all the work. She's the one that's actually doing the cloning. You're just standing there putting your name to it.
It's always been the way. To see their her mentality, because obviously she's controlling it. She's just doing what he says, but then seeing how her thoughts are running through her head, feeling her conscious going, "Oh, I shouldn't be doing this." But then having to do it. So that's what was quite interesting, was more of what the main guy was going through and her point of view. Two I found them more entertaining and fascinating to watch rather than the rest of it.
Especially when you think about it, it's the fact that she knows that she could put his subconscious into another brain, and he's not going to know. He's not. He's going to wake up and he's been like, "Oh, okay." But he's yet hearing him say, "I don't want to die." You can then see her face and her reaction change to the fact that that's what he's going to feel, and that's what he's going to think when he wakes up. Is I had them feelings, but this is now, and then knowing the fact that did happen, and this is a new body.
Yeah.
And it's just it shows the fact. That's what I liked about this as well, is the fact that it's one of them things that shows the two sides of it.
It was also interesting the fact that when they did the transfer, she said that there were certain parts that hadn't worked.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, if you're going to lose a little bit of yourself every single time it happens, when do you get to the point where you've lost more of yourself?
Well, it's the thing. Yeah, if you lose every part of the original every time it happens, when do you get to the point where what's the original anymore?
Yeah. Because you end up with the whole Triggers broom situation, don't you?
Yeah.
That is the best analogy you could do, but I think only if you're British you'll understand this reference. Anyone else is going to be like, "What are you on about?"
For anyone that's outside of England that's listening to this, go and find Only Fools and Horses and watch everything. You understand.
Yeah.
As you know, you won't understand, but you'll get the reference.
You'll get it.
See if you can find a reference to Triggers broom.
Yeah.
You understand the reference. You might not understand what the hell's going on in the show. You understand the reference.
Right. The third film is a film called Sarcophagus, which is another one from 2022. Now, I could find not a lot out about this in the way of synopsis or information or anything.
This is where it pays for Amy to be bored at 3 a.m, because she did. She found out a bit more about it. So,
I was just scrolling through because I was trying to find some, obviously a lot of sci-fi is the same sort of bulk ideas, and I stumbled upon this guy, and I actually done some research on him. Right. I can't remember his name for the life of me. He's from Slovakia. He's just his own independent person, does his own sort of stuff. He does a lot of artwork. And I've got to just mention this one piece of art I showed Scotty. It was this picture of this woman made out of butterflies. There were 1,200 butterflies he placed individually to form a woman.
So it's all, everything he does, so all the stuff he does, including this, is all visual effects. He all does it with computer graphic design.
Okay.
So he did this paint or his artwork for his wife, and it's a picture of it's a portrait of a woman who's like posing, and it's all individual butterflies, and it says every single one he put into place to make sure that it'll fit and flow properly.
Wow.
And it's just some of the other artwork he's got on his portfolio. It just
it was
it's beyond belief. Some of it, it's amazing. The fact that
you have to send me over a link or something.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you.
Is it this one? There's a couple he's done of androids that he's done, and he's put on the description that he's done, and he said like this is full on body android. It's got loads of detail, and he said I did this I did this as a quick project because I had a few hours to spare.
Well, this like little film he's done, he made it all by himself, just on one computer. I think it took him hundreds of hours just to render it on his PC. But all of it he just does on his own, and he just does because he can.
But yeah, this is his first. I think it's his first project of actually making a film. Like he does loads of pictures and loads of still images and stuff like that. But this is his first project of actually rendering it all together and making the images and making a flowing film. And to be honest, I'm a little bit confused about what the hell was going on. But the visual effects in it for a start are amazing. The getting the shadow toning and the working, and to have it flow as well as it did. I really liked it.
I mean, it has got a great, fantastic look to it and a great feel. And I know it's difficult to say this, but because it's computer done, but the camera work, if you like, the camera, the angles and the way the camera tracks and all this kind of thing is so well done.
Well, just what I'm saying about how smooth it was.
The sort of the lightning effect, that kind of thing in it, and brilliant, and the lighting as well.
It was just
subtlety of lighting.
So it was so simple. Like sometimes people try to do too much too quick, but even though this was only like 2 and a bit minutes, it was so cool. I'd love to know what else he could do with like a full team behind him and having.
I put the thing down here because I want to know and I want to see more. I want to see more of what's going on.
I wrote the exact same thing.
You know, I want this to be expanded, either part of or expanded into a full film. I want it, to be.
It's just. I mean, I was thinking the same thing. It's sort of just even if it is just not even if it's just a full film, but just sort of something that's a little bit longer, just to see what can be added to it and see what the reason was why it was teleported or what was going on and what was the reason it was there. And
I think one thing I would say is it does remind me a little bit of the original, not necessarily. I mean, the film to an extent, but the original story behind 2001.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of that. And I think, if you're going to sit and you're going to make films like this in your spare time just for the fun of it, for me, I'd want to continue making something that I could put together to make one continuous long film out of a whole lot in one.
Those are the things that, like him saying about the fact it took him hours to do this. And the thing is, it's what 2.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So obviously, with like and anyone that's a visual effects and visual like CGI and all that, they know that it takes a lot of time to do all that. And I get the fact that obviously spending probably like 4 or 5 months to get 2 minutes long worth of clip, I can understand it probably takes years.
Yeah,
but again, if he's willing to do that and he wants to do it, I think he should.
I mean, animated films a lot of the time, especially if you're working on them on your own, you'd look at Nick Parks. Nick Parks took like nearly 5 years to make, one of the longer of the animated films he made when he was starting out.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do that kind of work, I think it would pay to you do 4 or 5, you do 4 or 5 short films and then do bits to join them together and make it into.
I think this was 5 months ago because he started his own YouTube channel, and the only three things is the making of, and then a different version of this, and that's all he's got on his channel. So I really hope he does more because I am outstanding at. I was looking through his artwork on his portfolio, and I was just blown away. Like some of it is like, oh, I was bored, I wanted to do something, and some of it is like high end stuff. He could be working with really big names, but he's just doing this all on his own, and it made me excited seeing this.
Cool.
Just I would love to see what he could get up to.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what he could do. And so it does. It has a great feel to it and a great look to it, and it's really kind of it's subtly dramatic.
Yeah,
It kind of works really well.
What I liked about it is the sort of it was very very intense, very sort of dramatic, and it was slight pause in about just before the end, where obviously before he gets teleported, but before the lightning strikes, and it slows down and it sort of focuses in on him, like on the main person, and then the lightning goes and you see the whole teleport. I thought that is just, I love that.
Yeah,
the fact that he's sort of, because it makes you focus on it. You're not looking around, and you focus on everything that's going on.
Yeah. No, it was really good. I really liked it. It's a great film to watch. It really is good. Okay, next short film is also on Dust. So I'm worried about what date it is. I can't remember. It's called, now is it Bibo or Bibo? Bibo?
I would say Bibo.
Bibo, something like that. Yeah.
Bibo. Another animated film. And it's made by Anton Kristiakov and Mikhail Dmitriev. Now it says, well, I couldn't find a lot in the way of details about this as such, but it does say this for some reason. It says Norro Duncan Rowe, who I'm assuming wrote the story Norro that this is based on. So the synopsis for this is a sci-fi thriller about a woman who can never get over the child she lost.
Yep.
It confused me a little. I thought for a while I was watching the wrong film.
So did I.
Yeah, so did we.
Yeah, it did almost seem like someone had put the synopsis in for another film.
Yes.
I'm still not 100% sure what the is about, but
I think, I mean, it's an excellent animation. It's brilliantly made. It's quiet and soft and gentle. It's nice. It's a nice film, even though it's not necessarily about nice things.
Yeah.
No, it's
plots and stuff.
Yeah. The thing is as well, it's the subtleness of little hints. Because we watched this before and then watched it again, and there's bits that I picked up on that what I didn't do the first time.
Yeah.
And as it goes through, you actually see it's actually a little Easter egg in the beginning bit of it that explains what's gone on in the end.
Yeah.
On the newspaper route, and I sat there and I didn't notice it the first time, and then the second time I was like, "Oh, the prayer!" I was just like, "You idiot!" to yourself, and I was like, "But again, I loved it because of the fact that it's a very touching subject. It's like dealing with loss, dealing with it's a different way of doing it, but it's another one of dealing with loss and have people, AI, whatever, want to deal with that.
Yeah.
But it's also that whole thing of we as a human society keep making these sentient beings or whatever that we want to do, and then go, oh yeah, because when we're around, they're just going to stop, and they don't. It's not. No. That's not going to happen. We're not around, they're going to carry on doing stuff that we designed them to do.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they show, but I'm saying it was the twist bit.
Yeah.
A little sort of. I thought to myself that it was just this robot sort of doing its own little thing, and it was just constant, like, it was going to constantly keep doing its daily activities, and that little twist at the end, and it really took me back a bit to sort of the look of shock, and sort of sadness. So I very much like it had no expression, but that genuine, you could feel the loss, the sort of shock, the sadness on its face when it happened, and I just sat there like, I sat there and I really like this film. It's one who's got hard, like, little speech in it right at the beginning, but that's it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just amazing.
Absolutely, it's a really incredible film.
when I was scrolling through because you wanted to find a few things, so I thought I'd bring a bit of an Amy twist to it and go for something a little bit different. I saw this and I just fell in love with the animation style. It felt very like of film called Robots when I was a kid growing up. It had that whole look of it.
Yeah,
But it astounded me, like the fact you can have a whole film with barely any talking, but feel so much emotion.
Yeah.
There was just like all the sound effects were in the right places. Nothing was too overpowering. Like you can watch it and you were just like drawn in because you felt emotions for this poor little robot going through, and then the twist in it. I had like when I first watched it, I was like, oh my god. It's like I weren't expecting it. I was just expecting this wholesome little story, and then it takes this turn, but it does it in a nice way. Like it is a like horrible subject they're kind of trying to do again, but they've done it in a really nice way that it's not straight up in your face, kind of makes you want to feel horrible, but they've kind of done it in a more sensitive kind of way about it.
I like about this as well is the fact that I noticed it again the second time. There's a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's a few sort of hints in the background, and it makes you question what's going. But the way that it's animated and the way that it's done, you don't focus on what's going on in the background. You focus on everything that's in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like there was a few questions I sat there and I thought to myself afterwards. It's sort of, if what had gone on had happened, how was there still power? How was there still the lights? And then I thought to myself, well, maybe that's what he's rebuilt it. That's what he's done, and he brought it back. And I just thought, you know, it shows the fact that it's the things that people or anything will go through to make life easier for themselves. Or might easier, but make life better for themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, and it's one of the things I liked was again the kind of camera angles. You got this when you get the bit where the camera starts, you got a cable and you got these cockroaches crawling on the cable, and it's following them from above. It's following the cockroaches on the cable, and then the robots underneath.
Yeah,
that's so brilliantly done. It's so well done.
Is good. But even that is the sort of the little hints of what's going on. Is the fact that like the little sort of distractions that are put into it. But it's again the stuff that goes on in the background, because obviously animating the cockroaches on a wire, I wouldn't say is easy, but then to have everything moving in the background and have it all flowing as well as it does, it's just a great film.
It is. It's a really good film. It really works well. I really like that. I was surprised that I liked it, to be honest, because I wasn't sure about it when I first saw it. Okay, our last one is called Locked Doors, which is again from 2022, created by David James Armsby. Another animated film. Again, I couldn't find out a lot of detail, but I didn't see a lot of detail about this. But there is a synopsis, which is quite a long synopsis, and kind of tells you everything that goes on. The synopsis is it's about a man stuck on a broken down spaceship waiting for rescue. He has no idea what caused the wreck. His whole crew has mysteriously vanished. The ship has been overrun by strange vegetation, and he is slowly losing his mind. The one thing that is keeping the man alive is his curiosity about what may lie behind the one and only locked door aboard this ship. At first, I was expecting it was going to be like a bit like an old-fashioned computer game thing where you're in a room and you've got a locked door and you've got to find something to open the door with, type of thing. But it wasn't quite like that. I really like this. I think it's really well made. Again, I like although I know it's done on computer, I like the fact that it looks like old school animation.
Yeah.
Because I prefer that look. I don't know why. I want my animation to look animation, not to try and pretend to be human real action. This is the other one that I think was similar to the film we watched the other week, because it's very much in the line of these two guys were being kept alive until they came to rescue them. And it's kind of that thing of, I think if we're going to program computers and robots to do these sort of things, we need to get our parameters straight so they don't just keep us alive in any possible way to keep us just kind of functioning. They look after our well-being as well.
Well, this is the thing that I liked about this, and the one we watched the other week, is the fact that it shows the fact that no matter how much we can sit there and go, yes, we want you to look after us and keep us healthy.
Yeah.
Never can we explain to them the fact that a type program or anything like that of, yes, physical health is fine, mental health also helps.
Yeah.
And what I like about this is the fact that it shows, and it doesn't show, but it talks about the fact that his descent, like he goes from being this, okay, yeah, this is what's going on, I understand, I need to go things out, to then him talking about the fact that he's had bad dreams, he's had nightmares, he's had wondering what's going on, and the sort of his descent into the extremeness of what's going on, and then it shows you the whole doodles that he's put around to sort of ease himself.
Yeah.
I love this one. Once again, I went for the quirky angle on these ones, but I love it. Like the animation style is one of my favorite. Like one of my favorite video games has this sort of art style to it, because I prefer when they look more cartoony rather than them trying to be super hyper realistic. I love this old school sort of, like with Wallace and Gromit, where you can see like the marks of makings and stuff. It's just fascinating. And I was reading up about like this one, they were heavily inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. They liked the whole sort of like the dark humor in it as well, like the subtle little comedy. But I really liked it. It was simple but effective to see the deterioration of the human mind when you're taken away from any sort of communication or any sort of socialization. I absolutely love this one. This was such a cool little film. Like the camera angles, once again, not actual, but like the smoothness of when different things were happening, and like when you saw the final scene and stuff. I really liked this one.
So I've got to admit, I did the one bit of this that did make me chuckle was the fact that it sort of shows that it's the way it shows sort of human understanding of not knowing what's going on will quite happily blame anyone.
Yeah.
And the fact that he, at one point, he blames the iguana, the pet iguana, the fact that he's the reason why this doesn't work.
Absolutely.
He's being evil. And I was just like, and I sat there like, you know what? Yeah, I've been there with people who, I've been having conversations with people and stuff's happened to them going, I blame the dog.
Like, absolutely. I do it all the time. Things go wrong in the kitchen. The first thing I do is go, George, why did you do that?
Yeah. And it's the show, but but again, I agree with Amy, the artwork of it, I loved. And the like you said, the way that it was programmed to make it's the thing is that it even makes a quote of it at the end, not just on the graphics, which is what like his whole directive was, or the computer's directive was to keep them alive and keep them healthy until they were rescued. And it says at the end of it, obviously, like his parameters were achieved, and it just says underneath, "You're welcome."
Yeah.
And it's just like, yes, physically he was fine.
Yeah.
He was healthy, he was looked after, but mentally
he was not there.
Yeah. And even the fact that obviously you then see with the other crew member, the fact that she was alive, but
not
really in the way that it would be for a good life. And I think it's the whole parameters of, if we're going to go down that angle as a society, we need to make sure that we get everything precisely right before we say, this is what we want you to do.
Absolutely. Oh, it was a really good film. I really enjoyed watching it. It was good. It was good to watch. It was interesting, not quite what I expected it to be, but it was good. It was good.
I did like the fact as well that it's the fact that part of it, again, there's like little bits that made me chuckle. It's just right at the beginning where he's tapping the door, and he's just like, and all he says is access denied, and he goes, I'm starting to wonder whether or not that they're the two words you can't actually pronounce properly. Like actually saying something else, but like the whole memory bank is screwed up, and that's just something you can't say.
Yeah,
I think it's just the little bits of humour in this. I think he's it.
It's great. It's good. So there we go. We've got 5 short sci-fi films, some of which we liked, some of which we were okay, but were a bit, most, on the whole, not bad, which makes a nice change for us with sci-fi things.
brought my quirkiness along with these ones.
Yeah. No, it's good. I picked up definitely on the whole H.P. Lovecraft thing, because next week we're going to be doing a film that's based on H.P. Lovecraft story. So that'll be good. Thank you, Amy and Scott, for picking some films, or Amy for picking some films. And
I'm glad you like them. It's always the scariest
bit. I love the fact that I picked the film last week, not mentioned. You picked the film. Thank you.
Because I brought something different. I brought my quirkiness along.
It's because Amy doesn't do it very often.
I keep trying to.
I know. Well, yeah. So next week we're going to go back to just 2 shorts and a feature. And then what am I doing? I don't know. And then some other stuff. I like doing these. I do quite like doing these animated ones. So I think we're going to do a couple of full animated ones where what we're going to do is like shorts and features that are animated. So yes, we have one more week next week where we're doing 2 short films and a feature film, and then the week after that we will be doing a special edition of 5 short films.
Oh yes.
All on the Deformed Lunchbox YouTube channel, including a new one a brand new one that will be coming out on the at the beginning of May. So we'll be doing that.
So looking forward to that.
You're going to fangirl even more.
Oh, I love this stuff.
So thank you for joining us, Amy. It's been wonderful having you along.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad you like the films.
I did. I mean, if you want to come along next week, it'll be good. I mean, we've got 2 short sci-fi films, and the feature film is a kind of sci-fi horror, sort of thing.
I'll give it a go, see if it gets my approval. Not very good.
Get your approval.
Shall I tell you what it is? That's the question. Are you looking at me in the anticipation?
It's the anticipation.
No, because it's always the anticipation. I sit there and go, because the thing is, weird films, I sit there and go, oh, this is amazing. And then Amy will watch them and just go, what is wrong with you? This is rubbish.
Yeah. No, okay. So the film we're going to do, the feature film we're going to do is Reanimator.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Which is based directly on a H.P. Lovecraft novel. So it's an interesting film. I remember watching it when it first came out. How sad is that? So there you go. So thank you, Scott. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
Not going to say a word. That's thrown me completely there. We will be back in some form or another in a week's time, and until then, remember that all of the things in life that you can do are things you can do. I don't know what I'm talking about. And always remember, never forget, as I always say. I don't know why I always say that, but I always say that.
It's because you've forgotten, that's the problem.
What? Got what? Yeah, anyway. That's about it for this week. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
The Sciforror Film Podcast.